Welcome to this week's live. I'm Margot Mastery, your heartfelt CFO. I am super excited to be here with you today live. I hope you are all doing amazing today and enjoying the day. I started off my day also in a little bit of a different way. I went to pool class, and then what I like to do is I like to sit outside in nature a little bit and just really like enjoy the outside. Sorry for today being a bit late. There, when technical issues happen, it just gets into all of the things and tests the nerves and all of the things. So I really am grateful to be here with you now this afternoon. This topic is near and dear to my heart, and when I share it and educate our community around this topic, I'm always so grateful for the response and hearing how people, appreciate the education. I want this to be as a way for you to get what you need and a whole heap more. So let's jump in, which is the perfect time. And today's topic is how smart bookkeeping and tax planning can fuel your growth. Now, a lot of people think of this as two separate things. Already today, I was on multiple calls and different topics around this. And what we did was we made a comprehensive presentation to put this together. There was a few different infographics and some information that I have put together because when I talk to business owners and family and friends and networks and all of the things, I want everyone to see how they play a role into each other. In case you are new to my channel, welcome. Whether you're live on the replay, I am so grateful for you watching. Today, what we did was we put it on multiple platforms. My team behind me has really been working hard so that we can offer our educations weekly on different platforms. And what I will say is that the more people who watch this, sharing is caring, and let us know where you are listening from. So thank you to everybody who helped and is here, whether you're live or replay. So I'm known as a financial interpreter, business therapist, and strategy whisperer. So not your typical accountant. And basically what I'm known for is really rewriting the history around complex ideas in tax and business and help making them easier. So really making the hurdle around business feel empowering and less overwhelming. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes it's even overwhelming for me. And I go back to my systems that really help me. And I want to share the ones that have helped me and help our private clients that are in HCT along the way on the journey. So, what are we going to cover today? Why growth is not just making money, it's more than that. Four ways bookkeeping and tax planning that we can keep more into your pocket. Four stages of financial growth every business owner faces, and how to shift from scrambling to scaling with confidence. So, no matter where you are on the journey, you can take our steps and help move yourself across the path. So the reality check is your business is growing, but is your bank account keep growing? Or is it growing and is it keeping up and you're not really sure it's for the right reasons? So the core problem without the financial clarity is that money slips through the cracks, IRS red flags cause stress, and growth feels like scrambling and not scaling. So I want to talk about the red flags around stress of the IRS for a few moments. I had a call with a client yesterday, and I got this answer a lot. Isn't it easier, Margot, just to pay them what they're asking and then just move on because things are of the past? You can. However, that theory won't help you work less or work more intentionally and keep more of your money. What will happen is that you're just going to get through life, get through business, get through money, get through things, but you're never actually going to be able to thrive. You're always going to be in this struggle situation around it, that all of this can work for you and be a whole heap easier. Now, growth feel like scrambling and not scaling is similar to the same thing, because they all build into each other. So when the foundations of business are set, which is knowing your numbers around what you need to literally keep doors open, then scaling will not be a maze. It will just be your next step. It's as simple as that. So without this, money is going to slip through the cracks. And basically, it's like going into the store and getting like a $10 Snapple that you really know you're going to get for $2 if you go to another store. And I'll tell you a story. My daughter and I, we went to this new pizza store like 2 weeks ago. And there was a sign now everywhere when you go for food. It's really interesting because it's like self-serve. So it really tests your nerves around these systems to click, think what you want, and all the specifications because they want to get your order right. So when it came to the drinks, it said $2.50 and then $5. And the large was $5, and then what was considered a small, or it was maybe in ounces. So I think I chose the large, and then there was only one cup. So that one cup ends up was considered a small. So in the system, they chose the large. So what happened is that I paid the $5, but they got the $2.50, and that's just what happened. So sometimes when you go through a process and you don't really even know what it is, you can get still stuck with the higher bill, and you really was all intentional. So when it comes to the core problems around financial clarity is that sometimes we just need to know to ask the right questions, or the right questions for us, because lots of times people will tell me like, hey, Margot, what to think of in this situation or that situation, da, 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 da. And I'm like, you know what? It's the right questions that are for you at the time, because no two situations are the same. So growth isn't just about revenue, it's about managing, planning, and protecting the money you already earn. I have clients who could make 10 to 12,000 a month, to be honest, and they're way more profitable than I have clients that are making in the 7 figures or 6 figures or even 8 figures. And I said that in annual versus monthly, but I have clients that are making in 5 figures a year versus 6 and 7. And depending on how they manage the money is how they're more profitable. Now, it doesn't mean that we need to crack every dollar and manage every dollar down to the penny. However, at times when things get tough, it is recommended. But what you want to do is have a gauge of what you're doing so that you can protect yourself and plan accordingly on how you earn. It's not being in the dark that when it comes to paying bills and payroll and all of these things around money, that it becomes like a maze of kind of like, what do I do? So how can you keep more? Optimize taxes year round, make it not a annual process or a reactive process. Clear financial visibility, get intimate with your numbers, get intimate with your goals, get intimate with your bank account, have a relationship with it. And whatever is making you angry and upset, just take a step towards making it better and improve. I'll tell you, I myself on my own journey right now in terms of where I am to grow around money. And it really challenged me as I continue to build my own wealth and I continue to build the company of HCT. Different things are needed. And with those different things are needed, when things become challenging in business, they're still costing you and there may not be a return. And every business, when you grow, has a way of heaping on you in terms of the nerves of spending, let's say, and you may not be completely profitable at that point. So it's making the best decision possible with the information that you have at the time. You want to avoid the IRS flag. So what you do know, let's at least meet yourself where you're at, okay? Because you don't know all the IRS red flags. I do, but you don't, right? So what you actually think is an issue, let's handle it and start there. Cash flow control. It's really as simple as knowing what comes in and knowing when it will come in. I have some clients that they don't even know their cash flow because there's a complete trust with clients, which is absolutely amazing on one end. However, on the other end, The timing of things is what's helpful. And when you get the timing so that you can pay bills, save, and all of the things and plan is really where we're amping up things. So I want you to look at this infographic and look at the ways that we can keep more money into your pocket. And as we just talked about this on the slide before, what I did was I put this into an infographic because you'll see some of the things that are not, but not limited, of what's important. So year-end tax optimization, you're growing. Okay. So like if your business started off the beginning of the year $50,000 and now at the end of the year it's like $400,000, you can't expect a tax professional to just like whip it up and get your tax return all ready when 365 days of transactions happened. You can expect. However, the reality of that is that things are not going to be in your favor. Clear financial visibility, know your standards, know at any given moment what's happening, and be able to make decisions. Avoid the IRS flags. We talked about this, and cash flow control. I have a lot of clients that have open accounts receivable, and I tell you, even when it's open, and some of the responses that I get around it, it really comes down into that the onboard process was weak and we need to improve it. So 4 ways to keep more money in your pocket. These strategies help you protect and going into the next stage. So the financial growth journey becomes of these few things: struggling to manage finances, hiring a bookkeeper, outsource CFO services, which fully optimize and helps you maximize profits. Now, within HCT, Heartfelt CFO and Tax Services, what we have here is a combination of number 2 and 3. So you don't need to hire somebody separately for bookkeeping and separate for CFO. We have a CFO bookkeeping system along with growing into more CFO services that will meet you where you're at on the entrepreneurial journey. They're not separate. They're basically managed in a way wherever your business is at. So you don't need a full-time CFO. I'm not full-time for anybody. However, different business need our CFO capabilities in different ways, our bookkeeping in different ways. However, what I've learned around the bookkeeping field, without that up level of the CFO system to make sure it's optimized, it becomes where it's a reactive way on terms of how it's operating. And with this combination, we get to now optimize, we get to maximize profits, and a whole heap of other things. So the 4 stages are, like we talked about, the DIY accounting, hiring, outsource CFO services, and full financial optimization. Now, lots of times people look at this and they're like, hey, Margot, I don't need a CFO. I really just need bookkeeping. Chances are you don't even know exactly what you need, but having a CFO bookkeeping system gives you that little bit more of an edge and saves you a whole heap more. Now, yeah, it could be a little bit more money. However, when the system works for you, there's always a return on investment, 11 out of 10. Every one of my clients, anyone who works with us, we always show how the services can be implemented, that it can work for them in multiple different ways. However, it's up to you as the client, as the receiver, to actually implement it. There's so many skills that I can teach you. However, without the optimization of you implementing it or doing it with us together, will it actually produce? So bookkeeping and tax planning aren't just compliance. There's tools that turn scrambling into scaling. And that's what this process is about. So I invite you, let's talk about growth, and let's turn bookkeeping and tax into a real scaling power. Not to look at it as something inundated that you want to take on and hold the desk and keep on. You want to keep making more money, gain clarity, gain growth, and gain confidence. And I want to be that person for you alongside myself and my team. Now, I'll tell you an interesting call that I had yesterday. And what I will say is that it really taught me a lot around how people think. That we had this client where they inquired about services, or maybe it was 2 days ago, actually. And they said it wasn't hard for them to do their own numbers, but at the same time, they wanted to know how to optimize an S Corp and build a team. Now, these are scaled skills that if you're in the mental health field, you're a real estate professional, you're in the professional service-based industry, these are not things that you've learned. So taking on tasks that is not in your area and level of expertise, what happens is that you're really just setting yourself up to not scale. It's basically just eventually to go lower and lower and lower. And not that I'm wishing it upon you, but what happens is that you only know what you know, and you're basically making a decision within your own head and your own skills, which is really no skills, because the no skills lead you to back to your area of expertise, which is not scaling, it's not around compliance, and it's not around, maybe you figured out a little bit along the way for extra profit for that week, but what we really want is lasting growth, lasting clarity, and growing with confidence. Once you get the knack of this, the whole entire thing, what happens is that you just go. Uh, well, regarding very important planning, I appreciate that. Thank you. What happens is with that, like I have clients that know their own formula now, and like their calls actually end up being within just a few minutes, where it's more about where they're going than necessarily that underground that's happening. And what I say this to say is that let yourself be led versus always wanting to hold that control panel. When you hold that control panel for everything and everything, you're not going to go anywhere. When you go into Macy's, you go into Bloomingdale's, you go into Walmart, you go into Target, you go to all of these other big, stores, a big accounting firm. Nobody scaled alone. Nobody grew alone. And it's the same like if you would tell another business owner, right? If they were sitting there, they want to scale, they want to learn tax compliant, they want to learn how to build a team. And chances are all of these things are full-time jobs in itself. Somebody who did it and can lead the way will give you a whole heap more. Now, sometimes we think that hiring a team, I just want to throw this out there, is going to serve the purpose for the profit that's missing. It will not. I see this week after week and month after month where people look to hire to grow to solve a profit problem. The only thing that solves a profit problem is usually more income, but it's only more income when you have a control on expenses that will help the business grow. So you can make more money, but if you don't have a control over your spending and you're just spending blindly, right? Like kind of like that drink example I gave you where I spent it blindly, the $5, and it really was $2.50. I didn't have a control of my money at that point because I could have asked and looked at the cups before, but I just took it for granted that the large and the small or whatever ounces that they were was readily available, but it wasn't. And as that's a nominal mistake, it was the concepts. So scaling is power. Let's gain clarity. Let's gain growth together. And wherever you are, let's walk the steps together and help you no matter where you are. Maybe you just want the support. Maybe you're okay. We have a client right now and he's killing it. And his questions all come from, and his emails are more target of like, go for me than necessarily the learning. And he got there. It just became where he's there. You have the potential, I have the potential, and all of the things in between. So I want to just close a little bit around this is that financial growth, not only is this, I realize that we wrote here for real estate professionals, but this is for service-based industry owners. These are the steps. And along the way, also, the other one is that the tax planning, more money in your pocket, year-round tax optimization, the clear financial visibility, and avoiding the red flags. I realize this now as we're looking at this, at least know what you know, and let's work on those, and we can always grow. And the cash flow control is just really like the whipped cream onto the pudding. So I hope today served as a value for you. This has been a long time coming, and I wanted to share this. There's so much more I can say. I invite you to a call with me. Feel free to use the QR code, and I look forward to seeing you on the call. Keep the feedback coming, questions, comments, concerns, new topics that you want. I thank you so much all for listening. I look forward to doing this more. And the coming weeks, we have some amazing guest speakers. They just happen to be women. And I look forward to sharing those soon. Talk soon.